Hi, I'm Kylie McDonough-Scott.
And I'm Rebecca Toller-Stevenson.
We're two friends
and realtors in Kingston, Jamaica.
Join us on the Island Realtors podcast as we talk about all things real estate in our island paradise.
Welcome to today's episode of the Island Realtors podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Toller-Stevenson.
And I'm Kylie McDonough-Scott.
We are back for 2022 and we are ready to bring you all the nuggets of wisdom about the Jamaican real estate market we possibly can. Whether you are listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Castbox, or watching us on YouTube, we are glad you've joined us. Today we are very excited to be highlighting a very special corner of Jamaica, the parish of Portland. Many have described Portland as the real Jamaica. Its lush rainforests, beautiful beaches, waterfalls, and walking trails attract a laid-back traveler in search of solace. But Portland wasn't always so sleepy. In the 1940s, the parish was a place to be, drawing all of the rich and famous friends of screen star Errol Flynn. In the early 1960s, you may have spotted Princess Nina Aga Khan, wife of the famously wealthy Prince Adutrin Aga Khan of Persia, driving through the town of Port Antonio in her E-Type Jaguar. Today you will spot locations in Portland in the latest James Bond movie No Time to Die, or in music videos from Damien, Junior Gong Marley, or British recording artist Santigold, among so many others. Portland is once again becoming the Jamaican Riviera. Whether you come to Portland to visit Frenchman's Cove, a beautiful white sand beach which has a river that runs into the sea, Blue Lagoon, a gorgeous swimming hole which is said to be bottomless, or if you are stopping in for jerk in Boston Bay or boogie boarding in Long Bay, there is something for everyone in this parish. So what of real estate here? How can you invest in this corner of our island?
Today we have two special men on our show who are going to tell us all about their love affairs with Portland. We couldn't have this show without having a man that I like to call Mr. Portland. Jon Baker, are you there?
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for coming. Jon is a British-born music executive. He's also the co-owner of the G-Jam Hotel, which is, guys, if you don't know, you gotta know. It's a super chic little hideaway in the hills of San San. And Jon, I would just say Jon is Mr. Portland because he's been with us for, I think, 30 years. And he has brought so many people to the parish over these years. And, you know, he has a recording studio up at G-Jam where he's had all these famous celebrities, Drake, Santigold, Major Lazer, Amy Winehouse, Diplo. The list goes on and on and on. You know, Jon is also, I call him Mr. Portland, but he's also super important because he has an Order of Distinction from the Jamaican government for his contribution to tourism.
Congrats on that, Jon. It's fabulous.
Jon, you have to tell us how your love affair started in this place.
I've always, since I was at art school, Chelsea School of Art in the late 70s, it was at a time that a lot of the Jamaican artists were exiled during the travels of Jamaica to the UK. So the UK was flooded with, you know, Jamaican artists such as Marley, Big Youth, and various people that had to leave because of, you know, some of the troubles in the 70s. So it really sort of stepped up the connection in pop culture there between the punk rock movement, which I was part of, and the reggae movement kind of went hand in hand. And that was my first real interaction with sort of West Indian culture. And from there, it just grew and grew and grew. And all roads took me to Jamaica on several different flights from when I was partnered up with Chris Blackwell at Island Records to my former wife, who was a German Jamaican, Ziggy, and so forth. But what actually got me to Portland was I arrived in 1986 in Kingston. It was open house. I was with Ziggy, my partner at the time, and she said, let's go and drive around Jamaica and find visit some of my relatives. So I was there for 1 month. So for 3 weeks, I drove nearly 2,000 miles to Mandeville, Hanover, all over, visiting her relatives. The last week I said, where don't you have any relatives? And she said, Portland. So I I said, that's where we're going.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so once but it was incredible. As we drove through the North Coast up to Portland, and she had a friend, she had a very innovative model agency at the time called the Z Agency, and one of her models, Jane Spencer, I remember, father, they called him One Arm Spence, used to live in Portland. He ran the lobster restaurant in Blue Lagoon, and he was our contact. And we went there, and it was just like something took over. And you know what they say, be careful what you wish for. Well, I said to myself, one day I wish I could afford a holiday home here. And that was in 86. I just started an independent record label. I was blessed that we had hit after hit right up to the 1990. And when I did a joint venture with Chris Blackwell to buy half of my company and to relocate the company to New York, it was a no-brainer. I always put the good luck, the goodwill for my experience in Portland. So the first thing I did was I spoke to, we were just one step up from backpackers at that time. I in the, mid, I was 24 years old, 25 years old.
The good old days.
And I used to stay at this little guest house, which was in Sansan, and the manager, I rang him up, I said, Bentley, do you know of any property? Oh, yes, I know a great property, bit run down. So I said, give me the owner's number. So I spoke to the owners, who happened to be British Jamaican. And I said, you got a property to sell? They said, yes. I said, I'm too busy because I just relocated my record label to New York to come down for 4 months. Here's 10%. I'll come down, I'll look at it. If I like it, I'll buy it. If I don't, keep the deposit.
Oh, I like your style.
I turned around, so I went down there, and it was magical. And that's how I got to Portland. Little did I know that, eventually this holiday home, where I was sending money down every month when I was really doing well in the music business in the 90s in New York, was going to turn into sort of a life changer, as it were, And it did, because I've been there for 30 years now, and I decided when I sold my record label in 2000, I was going to basically move to Portland, see what the earth I'd been up to for 10 years, sort of half absent, and try and put my energies into Port Antonio and the whole parish, which is, I thought, was kind of my calling, and that's what I've been doing for the last 30 years.
Thank goodness you've been doing it, because you have been a trailblazer. And on behalf of everyone in Jamaica, I'd just like to say thank you.
Thank you for what you've done so far. Now, we also have on the line another man of Portland, I think, Mr. Vidal Dowding, who is the founder of the architecture firm, and I'm emphasizing the architecture firm, Atelier Vidal. And Vidal, are you there? Can you hear us, Vidal?
I'm here.
Great. Vidal and his team are the architects of choice for those building or reimagining existing properties, especially in the parish of Portland. And he put himself on the map with his work on Trident Hotel. Atelier Vidal received the Governor General's Award of Merit for Resort Design in 2014. So both gentlemen, we had to bring you, it's really a powerhouse of Portland today. So welcome, Vidal, as well.
Vidal.
Thank you for having me.
We also have to tell you congratulations, because you just had a baby.
Congratulations.
Yes, I did. Thank you so much.
A prince was born.
So thank goodness we were supposed to record this podcast last week, and then Rebecca came down with COVID. And thank goodness I was pressing her to try and do it on Thursday, and she's like, no, just wait. But thank goodness we waited, because I hear you were on a plane out of here to go deliver a baby.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Congratulations all around. It's a pleasure to have you on. And, you're the guy, I would say you've been doing, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been doing at least a project a year in Portland for the last 10, 11 years?
10 years, just about one project a year or so we do. We've been fortunate in that aspect.
I know, and you have been the architect of choice down there, and I think a lot of people continue to use you because they like your style, what you're bringing to the area, and as a result, you're kind of crafting a look down there. We've seen a lot of recent sales happening in Portland. I understand the Fernhill Hotel has been sold, Saint-Tropez, which was a very popular pizza joint and restaurant right in Saint, that was just sold. A lot of land has been trading and standalone properties. We've heard it before that, okay, Portland, this is the time, this is it.
Yes.
But now things are a little bit different because the government seems like the Jamaican government seems that they're starting to look at Portland in a way that they perhaps haven't before because they are fixing the road.
Yes, the road expansion. It's going to make Portland more accessible. And it's going to
What do you think that this is going to do for your business in Portland?
I think it's going to continue to grow. Portland's just a really great place to be. People wonder, well, why do people go to Portland? And they really only way I can answer that question is, when you go, Portland, it's an escape. It's unlike any other place or parish in Jamaica. It's full of rain and it's also full of sunshine. It's a lush tropical rainforest, and it also has maybe 3 or 4 of the best beaches in Jamaica. You can go from swimming in the Blue Lagoon to rafting out to an uninhabited island in minutes.
Yeah.
You can also go fishing for marlin, or you can go climbing a waterfall. And so you can do all of that, or you can really do nothing but enjoy the vibe. So Portland is just a place that has something for everyone, and I think it's just going to open it up a bit more. A lot of people don't really know much about Portland because it's a little bit difficult to get to right now. But once the road comes in, I think more people will get to enjoy what Portland has to offer.
And what a lot of people may not.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add, to add to that, which is, the question that I'm asked all the time by, celebrities or people that want a piece of Portland is, oh, they're building a highway, it's going to get spoilt. Let's put this into context. The GDP or the tourist share we have in Portland is less than 5% of the whole country. All right? I think what's going to happen is that at best, it will raise to 20%, and it will not even be a blip on the radar. I always say Portland is the world's best kept secret, and I am convinced it's because people that fall in love with it, foreigners, don't talk about it because they're paranoid it will be. They do not want it to be. Yeah, they do not want it to be
commercialized. Yeah,
we have room for growth without the craziness of the development that happened in Ochi in the early days or in the Grill. We can get this right. So I think it's got it's going to maintain its beauty and its ecology, but it's going to step up. I mean, I've been waiting. We created a brand which was called the Port Antonio Renaissance, and we can talk more about that later on. But it's basically, I've been waiting. When I bought the property in 1990. I basically said it was all going to go off next year. I was convinced it was going to happen next year. Well, 30 years later, I think you're right, Carly. It's about to happen.
But can I say Can I say something? In 2005, I remember I was living in New York still at the time. There was a very well-known Jamaican, very well known internationally, Jamaican. I think Vidal knows who this person is. I think Jon knows who this person is, who invested a lot of money in Portland. And actually, Vidal was able to work on the project. And Vidal helped to rebuild a hotel. Vidal, what was that like?
Well, Vidal, tell them how you got that gig.
Oh,
well, yeah.
Okay,
So,
I think
so,
I'm
of course,
sensing a story here. There's a story. I'm just going to kick
John was involved in that gig, and that's kind of how I got into John's world as well. So John is the one who introduced us and got us involved in that project. And I think the project you're talking about is the Trident Hotel, which was our very first project as a young firm. To be able to get that opportunity was a real life-changing moment. But when we got involved, a lot of the buildings on the property they existed and they were in an unfinished state. And we had a vision for the property that's kind of in line with how we think about design, to make the rooms and spaces as open as possible, while still providing shelter from the sometimes torrential rain in Portland. So we stripped back a lot of the sort of Jamaican Georgian elements on the buildings and introduced a lot of minimalist design ideas to the spaces. So we were really constrained by a deadline. We weren't trying to open for Christmas. All the deadlines that we work with are either birthdays or Christmas deadlines. This one was a Christmas deadline. And a lot of the design in the early stages of work, were actually drawn on the walls. So work was happening while we were drawing. We just had to really proceed very quickly. We didn't have time to put things down on paper. So which I would recommend to anyone, by the way.
Wow.
Just get the drawing done first.
Come on.
walls?
These architects, sorry guys, these architects are so dry. It's a lot more exciting of what happened to that. I could not deal with the Kingston architects, right? I met Vidal at the Bush Bar. We got on so well, and I basically said to Vidal, look, let's do this. Vidal wasn't even 30. All his young architects that he was lecturing were around 24, 25 years old. We called up B&H in New York. We shipped down a whole architectural setup, plotters, computers. We went into that property. We had a year to do it.
Wow.
We went in there. We basically found a young architect, a young builder at the time, and he got the job because he came to the meeting with a bloody iPad instead of an ink pot and a blooming quill. So that was that. That was Ian McNally. So it was Vidal's crew.
Yes, big
my
up,
crew,
big up,
and
big up McNally of Relmat Construction. Big up,
exactly.
And
we
Ian
kicked
is
it.
still down in
Yes,
Portland. He
still.
is also the contractor of choice, Relmat Construction.
Oh yeah, he's killing it. And we had a lot to prove. We had a lot of haters out there.
I'm
It was
sure.
unheard of an architect of Vidal's age. It was unheard of an architect of getting such a big commercial project as this, because let's face it, the architectural business in Jamaica is pure. It's the hangover from colonialism. So it was right. And so at the end of the
don't
day,
hold back on us. Tell us what you really think. Don't hold back, John.
This may be our best
Anyway,
podcast.
that's my take on it. Anyway, carry on, Vidal.
But I love it. John, you obviously can spot talent. You have a long history of spotting talent in music and, all sorts of different fields. So you obviously saw something special in Vidal. And Vidal, you proved yourself because
Vidal is a star.
honestly, it seems like you are forever in Portland working on something. And I follow you on Instagram and you fly in a lot of helicopters, Vidal. I'm constantly seeing you in a helicopter.
Well, because he's a very busy guy. He doesn't have
And
time to be
just like-
driving on the road
I
to
know.
Portland.
It's
Flies in and flies out.
It's flying a helicopter.
Who are you talking about, Vidal or me?
Actually, both of you.
Both of you, actually. You're chopper guys. But Vidal, let me ask you.
Well, I'm in the UK now, so you're here. Hopefully, if the weather's good, I'll be buzzing into Port Antonio tomorrow evening.
Okay,
It's
well,
not as
give
big a
me a
helicopter
ride.
as-
Give me a ride. I've never been on a helicopter.
No problem.
Can you believe that?
I'm on the BA flight tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
What other projects have you worked on in Portland, Vidal?
Well, firstly, I tell you,
Trident,
we are very, very fortunate that our clients will allow us to do a quick round trip to Portland. But believe me, it's usually by car. We're driving to Portland quite often. Not flying in like John. John's flying in. I'm driving. Telling you.
But don't worry, soon the
over the last 10 years, again, we've been really fortunate, to work with some incredible clients who share our vision for tropical contemporary architecture. Without being too specific about the people we're working with, we worked on coastal villas, cliffside villas, hillside villas, done a few master plans. It's just really working with people who enjoy doing what they do and enjoy the type of work that we do. So it's a number of things that we're doing in Portland right now.
What are some of the challenges that you face doing a project down in Portland? Because it is where it's a little bit remote, So I'm sure there must be one or two.
And the weather.
And the rain.
I mean, they always say it rains every day in Portland. I mean, and it kind of
Well,
does.
the rain isn't that much of a. I mean, the rain, the rain isn't that much of a challenge with building there. I mean, you have issues in the very beginning just to get the wet works going. But once your structure is up and you're kind of locked in, things go quickly. So yes, the distance to get to Portland, that does kind of increase the material cost. Also, because we do a lot of work on the coast, that sort of coastal environment increases material costs as well, because we have to raise the specifications. But the bigger challenges we find in Portland is, nothing is flat. There's no flat land anywhere in Jamaica, especially Portland. So we've had to really tailor a lot of our designs to sloping sites and hillsides. And that always comes with a challenge. People come to us with a vision, and a lot of their visions are coming from maybe Pinterest or Instagram, and a lot of those houses are in flat land. So it's really for us to kind of take that and use our vision as well for tropical contemporary architecture and put that on a piece of land that is not very forgiving sometimes. It's always sloped or very steep or hard to get to.
So that leads me to this question then.
Not to mention the limestone, it's all on. Wonderful for foundations, but a bugger to actually dig and build foundations.
What would your advice be to someone? I'm going to put this question to both of you gentlemen. Vidal first. What would your advice be to someone looking to build a villa in Portland?
I think the first thing you got to do is find a piece of land that you love. That's really the most important thing. Find a piece of land that you love, walk the land with your real estate agent, get a really good feel for the land, the views, the breezes, the trees and the landscape. After that, get a valuation and a surveyor's report done. And when you've purchased the land, write down what your goals are for the property. What kind of building would you like? How would you like the spaces to feel? And when you've thought about all that, then look for an architect that shares your design vision. So whether it's a vernacular style of architecture or a tropical contemporary style of architecture, it's really important that the people that you're working with share your vision and have the same design.
They're on the same page. And John, what would your advice be? Because you've been around the block. So what would your advice be to someone saying, I want to build something here in Portland? How would you guide them?
I would say I see, or GJAM has become somewhat of a portal for an introduction for people from all over the planet to vest in Portland. I think Kylie knows, Diplo came through me, Andrew Chapman and Tiamo, they came through us, and so forth. We've probably got half a dozen people that were regulars at GJAM, creatives I call them, because that's kind of our USP there. And I say to all of them, if it ain't broke, why fix it? So I always tend to recommend them to Vidal, because he has the most experience building down there. Yeah. We offer project management services for a lot of our people, but generally they like to go it alone. So I said, if you're going it alone, no problem, but do not be an absentee owner. You cannot take on a project down there and just give it over. One of the biggest mistakes I've seen with foreigners down there, and I've seen it with some of the people we've mentioned on this call already, is that they have a certain amount of reticence, or they don't realize that the level of architecture design on every level, just the medical in Jamaica, is first world. I never call Jamaica third world. At worst, it's second. So there are great consultants, there are great engineers, there's great people to work on, but so many of them decide to hire people in Canada or in America, bring them down, then they've got to hire the same set of people in Jamaica, so they have double the cost. But what does that create? It creates tension.
And chaos. And actually, I have to tell you that I went to a villa recently that they hired a foreign architect.
Oh my goodness.
And,
I went with you as well.
I realized that they don't understand how our breeze blows. They don't understand how we actually live in Jamaica. We don't live like in air conditioning. We live with windows open and the breeze is blowing through. It's building in America is very different to building in Jamaica.
You're right.
Building in Jamaica is more similar from building in it's more closer to the structure in the UK than it is to America.
Yeah.
They don't have a quantity surveyor in America in their equation. They do design builds, and likewise, you bring in the personalities. You've got an engineer's got a PhD. Yeah, you got an engineer's got a PhD in engineering being talked down to from a Canadian guy. They're all going to, it's going to be it's conflict. And who suffers? Who suffers?
The client.
The client.
The client. Yeah. And pays.
Both financially and in delays. You've seen it, right, Vidal?
I've seen it.
I've seen it around.
Yeah. So that's my advice.
John, tell our viewers and our listeners, who is a typical Portland purchaser?
Well, for many years, it was always had the reputation of dreamers and eccentrics,
Dreamers and eccentrics, wow. Okay.
Yeah. No, absolutely. If you look at the history, when Errol Flynn came in, he ended up settling there and having a 3,000-acre cattle farm. And then, you go even back before that. Now, you've got some really affluent Americans built the Folly and were, there was a 400-room hotel in the harbor in 1906 or something. When it's got an incredible history. But more recently, people come there and dream, and they build. You look at the castle, look at the Palace Hotel, look at the shopping centre, and you do attract. I mean, even what the most recent investors are doing. I mean, they're not playing. I mean, they're doing some most incredible properties in Sandsland. So I would say it's people that are not looking for mass tourism or big urban sort of engagement. They're not worried that there's no Gucci or Louis Vuitton in Port Antonio. They're not worried that you can't get that. They're looking for something more natural. But what is beautiful about it is the cross of people that come there. I mean, I call a lot of our clients creatives because they're in the music industry or fashion or arts world. But they also attract people who might not be in those industries, but might be lawyers, dentists, but they aspire to being in that environment. So I think it's like Montauk 30 years ago when people started. When people started buying rundown places and so forth and fixing them up, and 30 years later, it's a lot of the creatives, from the artists to the musicians to designers, have got beautiful homes there, but it grew up. And that's what's happened in Portland in the last 30 years. We've had a lot of musicians and people come down and build their homes or renovate their homes on the existing villas. And they're the people that's the beauty of it down there. Like, you could go down, my kids are grown up now, we go to Frenchman's Cove, and my daughter Savannah will come back, oh, Dad, I've met some people on the beach. Can they come back and hang out? This is when G-Jam was just our villa before we developed it. And it ends up, it's, a couple of kids, they're all in 7, 8 years old. It was Dan Aykroyd and his wife and their kids. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because the guard is, So the guard is down. People, it's not like you're in. So people are as interested in people who live there, whether they're Portlanders or they're foreigners. Look, when you walk down the road in Port Antonio and a Jamaican, a Portlander sees you, they will not assume you're a tourist. They will first probably assume that you're someone who's settled there, because that has been the way since the turn of the 19th century. Whereas you walk down Ocho Rios, or it's a different energy, it's a different vibe. Unlike most hotels in Jamaica, that some of them create this sort of sense of insecurity. Don't go outside. Go to
stay within walls.
We want to see the backs of our guests in the morning, so we're planning trips into Nanny Falls, Reach Falls, Winifred Beach. We want them out. And they say, oh, is it safe to go into Port Antonio? I said, walk there. You see for yourself, because the Portlanders are different to a lot of the other areas of Jamaica just by their history and how that area has been evolved. It's in their DNA.
So I hear a little birdie told me, John, that maybe I'm going to see another restaurant down at your beach sometime soon.
Yep. I've been trying to get it together for some time. It's been a bit difficult because I broke ground in 2019. I decided, basically, my business partner, Steve, realized we were on a hamster wheel. I'm a reluctant hotelier. I really am, but love the design side of it and the experiential style side of it, but we were kind of always, do we want to really go into a lot of debt and expand it? But we realized we were on a hamster wheel, so we said, right, we're going to build 12 rooms, we're going to expand our bush bar, and we're going to really do a number. So Vidal came in, designed it, did an incredible job. We broke ground, we were due to open. Guess when? March 2020.
that date rings a bit of a bell.
Yeah, so
March
cool.
2020,
Everything was shutting down around us. I'm scratching my head. Steve's scratching his head. I said, fuck it, we just got to really go for it. And so we just kept pushing and pushing. The music bookings. I set up 2 more studios in 2 other locales, so we kept going because the bands couldn't tour, so they wanted to record, but they didn't want to record in a city. So we had our best year ever in 2020 with our recording with our international client. Yeah, got it just scraped into the fall of 2020. Finished off the rooms, and then we opened officially Christmas 2020. Bit of a bumpy start in the year, but we got through it.
I was down there last weekend, and you guys are booked. You've had a lot of bookings.
It's been crazy. We've been at 80% for the last 4 or 5 months. It's been bonkers. I mean, I have to thank
congratulations for that.
And you know why that is? Because unlike other resorts, we're about music, we're about pop culture, and that's not an exclusive environment. That's exclusive of people of like minds. And a lot of those like minds live in Ochi, live in Montego, predominantly in Kingston. So what we did was we refocused on our local markets, and every weekend we're full with Kingstonians or with people, and that has actually made our product more vibey, and our foreign guests are engaging with everybody, and it's great. So
yeah, that's been an amazing thing about COVID, just staycationing and just seeing people explore areas of Jamaica that they never went to this whole time, and realizing that how Jamaica is so beautiful.
Yeah, no, it's great. So we're not changing that. Our local community of Jamaica have been loyal to us, and we're going to maintain that. You won't see the Jamaican rates on our international website, but you know what? If you're on your Instagram or you call us direct, we share a lot of love.
Thank you for that.
I have to tell you, if you do decide to open that restaurant, I heard there are 2 names.
Oh, that was the question. Sorry, I forgot.
There are 2 names, but I just want to tell you my favorite. Mine is the one that begins with the G.
Oh, the G spot. Okay,
I mean,
yes, everyone's.
How can you not call it the G spot?
I mean,
I know. I'm going to be outruled on this. You know me. I'm too cool for that shit.
It's the G Spot restaurant coming to Port Antonio.
Yeah. Basically, I remember. But do you remember the Blue Lagoon? What an incredible restaurant!
Yeah, that was amazing.
At New Year's Eve, everyone would jump into the lagoon. It was just magic. I have got a spot very similar to that on my beach. It's 6 foot from the. So I've actually built it out, but we couldn't manage to open that and survive COVID and the hotel. So I'm back tomorrow, and that's my goal, to get that going. And it's going to be open to the public. It's going to be really vibey. It's going to be a lower price point than the Bush Bar, but it's going to be right next to the water. I'm really hoping
so great.
It's probably,
I can't wait to go. So I have to ask you guys both. I'll start with you, Vidal. Where do you see Port Antonio in the next 10 years? Like, what do you see happening if we continue on this trajectory?
Which hopefully we will.
I think, like John mentioned, I don't think it's going to become this sort of overpopulated place. I think that the type of person that wants to go to Portland is that more laid-back person who really wants to be a part of that vibe down there. I think Kylie, maybe a couple of weeks ago, you and I were talking. And Portland's the kind of place where the rain comes down, you don't run away from it. You kind of you hang around. The rain comes and it goes, and you stay there. So it is that type of place where people will come to it because they want to be a part of that environment. And I think now that the road is coming in, and more people are hearing about Portland, you're going to find more of that type of person coming there and being a part of that culture.
That's so amazing because I've never really thought about it, but I've been at Frenchman's Cove so many times and it started to rain and people don't move.
No,
they don't run for shelter. They just stay in the lounge chair, which is amazing.
Another funny story. One night we were at a party years ago at Folly Oval. Nicholas, my husband, and I, it started to pour down with rain and everybody just went and found a shelter. Stayed there for half an hour. The rain stopped, and then everybody came back in the party. In Kingston, everybody would have gone home.
Yeah, that's Portland for you.
So true.
And every morning we get that rain in the 5-6 o'clock in the morning, and the place glistens.
And then it's a beautiful
by 11.
But John, do you see in the next 10 years some other major international investment there?
I don't think we're going to have any of the big hotels in because there is no way to have a lift in there. The Ken Jones Airport is just in the wrong place for any large jets, which is a blessing. So I think it'll be better roads coming in. I think that thanks to the late great Ernie Smat, who owns the majority of Sansan, he preserved it. He never allowed subdivision. His son Ashley has taken up the baton, and he intends to not allow sort of massive subdivisions of the land in Sansan. And I think that's a great thing because I think it's going to stop a lot of what's happened in Kingston, for instance, with the townhouses.
And breaking up the townhouses and the apartments.
Yeah. So I think it's going to stay underpopulated. I think Sansan is going to be the sort of, I don't know what the equivalent would be. I don't want to say something that would be, wrong. It will never be a gated community, but it certainly is going to be the more upscale. And then as it goes out into the other rural areas, because there is more or less zero crime in Kingston, in Port Antonio, unlike Kingston, you're going to have people buying into rural areas that are on, between Sansan and Ferry Hill and right up to Long Bay. And I think those areas, and what that does is it makes it inclusive because, Sansan is skyrocketing in value. I mean, it's bonkers. So it's gone up leaps and bounds.
I think there is something for everyone in Portland, and that's why we really wanted to do this episode and focus on the parish, because really for every pocket that people have, there is something there, because you can still pick up a residential lot in Portland for under 10 million Jamaican dollars. You can still do that. I sold one just last week, which is amazing.
But you've got to be slightly crazy and have courage, because
exactly
a lot of people love to have the cookie, cutted sort of place, and it's all structured. You're going to buy something in Long Bay, or you're going to buy something between Sansan and that, or even in Sansan, it's most likely going to be land, not villas. The villas have all been sold. There's a few available that our Kylie will find and put on the market. But it's now after those, Kylie, after you've sold those ones you've just found, it's going to be mainly land and new builds, isn't it?
Yeah,
Exactly.
I think so. But I want to thank you.
So you have to have courage to do that in itself,
I want to thank you both for coming on the podcast. I mean, it's been really fun talking to you. This was just
so fun.
A hysterical episode, and I can't wait until it's published. And I think before we go, Rebecca and I want to just share a couple listings that we have in Portland, because the place is heating up.
Yeah, I want to share a couple listings first. Okay, so I have not one but two amazing properties in Portland for sale. Firstly, there is Mockingbird Hill, which we've been having that on the reel as well behind me. Mockingbird Hill is a boutique 11-key eco-resort that is located in Williamsfield. That is in the hills sort of after you pass Trident, but before you get to San, so you have an idea where it is. Mockingbird Hill is being sold furnished.
There it is on your loop.
There it is. Furnished as a going concern, and it's popular with both local and international tourists. It's a great spot for switching off. It's also known as a bird watching site, and it's fully licensed by the Jamaican Tourist Board as well. Mockingbird Hill focuses on sustainability and has solar electricity and a very cool rainwater harvesting system. So there are significant cost savings for the operator of the
What's the
hotel.
price tag? What's the price tag?
No, I'm not done. But so you might wonder, what is it great for, right? Well, it's great for any kind of health retreat, maybe a cannabis retreat or a psilocybin therapy retreat. And for those listeners and viewers who wonder what I'm talking about with psilocybin therapy, it's a form of treatment that uses psilocybin, which is found in a mushroom, to treat mental health disorders. And I think it would make a great psilocybin retreat. I'm so mushroom people out there, give me a call on Mockingbird Hill.
If I did mushrooms up at Mockingbird Hill, I don't know what would happen to me.
Well, listen,
I may not ever return.
Well, it is on 7 acres as well. 7 acres of land, Mockingbird Hill, and it's on for $3,195,000. Okay. Also.
And I have a big listing that I've just landed. It's not even on the reel because it's hot off the press. I have just listed the Jamaica Palace Hotel, which is... it is an 80-room hotel. It is. Would you call that San, John? Would it be San yet? No, it's not. It's before San. It's by Turtle Bay.
It's there's a name for it.
I think it's Turtle Bay. I just landed the listing, so I mean,
Clear Spring, that kind of area, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't even put it online yet. I haven't even done a description, so I'm just going off
Jamaica Palace Hotel.
The Jamaica Palace Hotel. And the unique thing about the Jamaica Palace Hotel is that it's been in many music videos because it has a black and white theme. So it's very stylized, and actually it has a pool that is actually the shape of Jamaica.
You're kidding.
Oh, you've never seen it?
I did not know that. That's so cool. And I can't believe that. And I have
They're
another...
bought by the Duchess family.
Yes.
Who was one of those eccentrics that came and fed for Austrian lady who's deceased now, sadly. And she fell in love with Portland. She first partnered with Earl Levy and helped him build the castle. Then that didn't go so well, and so she bought the palace to overlook the castle to piss him off. And then she went in and decided she loved architecture. I mean, she loved architecture. And she went in there and she decided she wanted to build a shopping center. And so she tore down the old cinema that was there, and she decided to build a shopping center that had 8 or 9 different forms of architecture. And, you know, it could be classed as a folly, whatever. It's her passion, and it's still there. So she made her mark on she made her mark on Port Antonio, no question.
So that one is hot off the press, and we're looking for an international investor or a local hotel chain that wants, not chain, I shouldn't say, a local hotelier.
Yes.
That wants to go. It's priced at $9.5 million US.
And we cannot go without me mentioning, I do have a Long Bay beach house for sale right on the beach in Long Bay, a 3-bedroom beach house for $3 million. Hear me, $3 million. 695.
Yes,
yeah, 695,000. Definitely not $3 million. And so, you know, if you're looking for literally something steps from the water, like literally 10 little baby steps, and you're in the sea, you can call me on that.
And
how much is it on for?
It's on for $695.
And she sold the one next door as well,
yes, which was Seascape.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
the great thing about Long Bay is that it's really only got about 6 or 7 houses on Long Bay. And there are a lot of restrictive covenants there. So I don't think it will be developed. It will just stay as that kind of little nook with 6 houses.
Yes, so that's it. And now, I have a couple of pocket listings there. I have 2 in Sansan right now that are great pocket listings. So one at around 725,000 and one at around almost 2 million. So anyways, if you all are looking for something in Portland, you can call me, you can call Rebecca. We're at Coldwell Banker Jamaica Realty. And I just want to say thanks once again to these guys for being on this podcast. And I'll let Rebecca finish off.
No, there is one thing I wanted to do. I wanted to digress for one little moment away from real estate and ask our guests a question each, although not the same question. So Vidal, if you could design 3 people's homes, who would they be? Which 3 people would they be?
3 people.
Yes, they could be dead or alive.
I've never thought about that. I need more time to think about that. We've had some incredible people call us, and it's always exciting to think about building, stuff for people from different, with different passions. I really don't know who they would be, but I can say this, I'd be really excited to build something for somebody who brings like a really, really high challenge, like a really difficult site, or something like a limit on using materials only found like within a 10-mile radius of the site. So something interesting or challenging like that. It could be anybody, I'm interested in challenges rather than the actual person,
Okay, cool. And John, if you could invite 3 people to GJAM, dead or alive, who would they be?
It's funny you should say that. Everybody that I've wished to come to GJAM has come.
Oh.
I could say that I'd like them to come back again, but we have a very strict rule at GJAM is that we never leverage celebrity or any of that as other hotels do. So I'm just thankful that they've come, they continue to come, and, a lot of people fall in love with Port Antonio and want to continue on. So
wonderful. You're blessed, John. You're blessed.
Well, I'd like to see Brad Pitt at GJAM, so I'm just saying.
Yeah. Or Harry Styles.
Okay, I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that.
Can you get Harry there?
Yeah, I'll take that for sure.
I'll definitely myself for a drink at the bar if that happens.
There you go.
Anyways, guys, thank you so much. I know you have to run to dinner in London, John, and you have a plane to catch tomorrow, and I look forward to seeing you in another week. And guys, please remember that you can follow us on Instagram. I'm Kylie the Realtor.
And I'm Rebecca.sellsrealestate. That's my handle.
And then John, what's your handle on Instagram?
It would be GJAM Hotel and JB GJAM. So they're the 2 handles.
And of course, Vidal, we can't leave you out.
Mine is Vidal_architect.
Vidal_architect. Fabulous. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. Have a good afternoon, evening.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thanks for having us.
Lots of love. Bye.
Thanks
Love.
for watching
Bye-bye.
the Island Realtors
Bye.
podcast. Bye. Till next time.